Buttigieg here again, and it's time for another story from Horrid Henry's Big Bumper book. Today's story is called Horrid Henry's School Trip. "Don't forget my packed lunch for the school trip," shouted Horrid Henry for the 10th time. "I want crisps, biscuits, chocolate and a fizzy-wizzy drink." "No way, Henry," said Dad grimly, slicing carrots. "I'm making you a healthy, nutritious lunch." "But I don't want a healthy lunch," howled Henry. "I like sweets." "Sweets? Yuck," said Perfect Peter. He peeked in his lunchbox. "Oh boy, an apple," said Peter, "and egg and cress on brown bread with the crusts on. Oh, and celery and carrot sticks, my favourite." "Oh, thank you so much, Dad." "Henry, if you don't eat healthy food, you'll never grow big and strong." "Oh, yeah," said Henry. "I'll show you how big and strong I am, you little pipsqueak," he added, springing at Peter. He was a boa constrictor, throttling his prey. Choked Peter. "Stop being horrid, Henry," shouted Mum, "or there will be no school trip for you." Henry let Peter go. Horrid Henry loved school trips. No work, no assembly, packed lunch, a chance to fool around all day. What could be better? "I'm going to the Frosty Freeze ice cream factory," said Henry. "Free ice creams for everyone! Yippee!" Perfect Peter made a face. "Ooh, I don't like ice cream," he said. "My class is going somewhere much better. Our town museum. And Mum's coming to help." "I'd rather be boiled alive and eaten by cannibals rather than go to that boring old dump," said Horrid Henry, shuddering. Mum had dragged him there once. Never again. Then Henry noticed Peter's T-shirt. It was exactly the same as his, purple with striped gold stars. "Tell Peter to stop copying what I wear to school," screamed Henry. "It doesn't matter, Henry," said Mum. "You're going on different trips. No one will notice." "Just keep out of my way, Peter," snarled Henry. "I don't want anyone to think we're related." Horrid Henry's class buzzed with excitement as they scrambled to be first on the bus. "I've got crisps," shouted Dizzy Dave. "I've got biscuits," shouted anxious Andrew. "I've got toffee and chocolate and lollies and 3 fizzy whizzies," shouted Greedy Graham. Wailed Weepy William. "I forgot my packed lunch." "Quiet," ordered Miss Battleaxe as the bus started moving. "Sit still and behave. No eating on the bus. William, stop weeping." "I need a wee," shouted lazy Linda. "Well, you'll have to wait," snapped Miss Battleaxe. Horrid Henry had trampled his way to the window seats at the back next to Rude Ralph and Greedy Graham. He liked those seats best. Miss Battleaxe couldn't see him, and he could make faces at all the people in the cars behind him. Henry and Ralph rolled down the window and chanted, "Beans, beans, they're good for your heart. The more you eat, the more you—" "Henry!" bellowed Miss Battleaxe. "Turn around and face forward now." "I need a wee," shouted Dizzy Dave. "Look what I've got," said Greedy Graham, holding a bulging bag of sweets. "Give me some," said Henry. "And me," said rude Ralph. The three boys stuffed their faces with sweets. Ugh! A green lime, said Henry, taking the sticky sweet out of his mouth. Ugh! He flicked the sweet away. The sweet landed, bing, on Moody Margaret's neck. Ow! Said Margaret. She turned round and glared at Henry. Stop it, Henry, she snarled. I didn't do anything, said Henry. Bing! A sweet landed in sour Susan's hair. Ping! A sweet landed on anxious Andrew's new jumper. Henry's throwing sweets, shouted Margaret. Miss Battleaxe turned round. Henry, sit next to me, she said. I needed a wee, wailed Weepy William. Finally, the bus drove up to the Frosty Freeze factory. A gigantic, delicious-looking ice cream cone loomed above it. We're here, shouted Henry. You scream, I scream, we all scream for ice cream, shrieked the children as the bus stopped outside the gate. Why are we waiting here? Yelled Greedy Graham. I want my ice creams now. Henry stuck his head out of the window. The gates were chained shut. A large sign read, Closed on Mondays. Miss Battleaxe looked pale. I don't believe this, she muttered. Class, there's been a mix-up, and we seem to have come on the wrong day, said Miss Battleaxe. But never mind, we'll go to the Science Museum, shouted Clever Claire. The zoo, shouted Dizzy Dave. Laser Zap, shouted Horrid Henry. No, said Miss Battleaxe. Our town museum. Oh, groaned the class. No one groaned louder than Horrid Henry. The children left their jackets and lunch boxes in the packed lunchroom and then followed the museum guide to room 1. First we will see Mr. Jones' collection of rubber bands, said the guide. Then our famous display of door hinges and dog collars through history. And don't worry, you'll be seeing our latest acquisitions, soil from Miss Montague's garden and the mayor's baby pictures. Horrid Henry had to escape. I need a wee, said Henry. Hurry up then, said Miss Battleaxe, and come straight back. The toilets were next to the packed lunchroom. Henry thought he'd make sure his lunch was still there. Yep, there it was, right next to Ralph's. I wonder what Ralph has got, thought Henry, staring at Ralph's packed lunch. No harm in looking. Wow! Rude Ralph's lunchbox was bursting with crisps and sweets and a chocolate spread sandwich on white bread. He'll feel sick if he eats all that junk food, thought Henry. I'd better help him. It was the work of a moment to swap Ralph's sandwich for Henry's egg and cress. This certainly isn't very healthy, thought Henry, gazing at Greedy Graham's goodies. I'll do him a favour and exchange a few of my celery sticks for his sweets. Oh, just look at all those treats, thought Henry, fingering sour Susan's cakes. She should eat a more balanced meal. A pack of raisins zipped from Henry's lunchbox to Susan's, and a sticky bun leapt from Susan's to Henry's. Thought Henry, helping himself to tough Toby's chocolate bar and replacing it with an apple. Too many sweets are bad for the teeth. That's better, he thought. gazing at his repacked lunch with satisfaction. Then he strolled back to his class, who were gathered around a glass case. "This is the soil in which Miss Montague grew her prize-winning vegetables," droned the guide. "She grew marrows, tomatoes, potatoes, leeks—" "When do we eat?" interrupted Horrid Henry. "I'm starving," whined Greedy Graham. My tummy's rumbling," groaned Rude Ralph. "When's lunch?" asked Moody Margaret. "We're hungry," wailed the children. "All right," said Miss Battleaxe. "We'll eat now." The class stampeded down the hall and grabbed their lunches. Henry sat in a corner and tucked in. For a moment there was silence. Then the room echoed with howls of dismay. "Where's my sticky bun?" yelped Sour Susan. "My sweets are gone!" screamed Greedy Graham. "What's this? Egg and cress? Yuck!" shouted Rude Ralph, hurling the sandwich at anxious Andrew. That did it. The room filled with flying carrot and celery sticks, granola bars, raisins, crusts and apples. Henry smirked as he wiped the last traces of chocolate from his mouth. That did it. The room filled with flying carrot and celery sticks, granola bars, raisins, crusts and apples. Henry smirked as he wiped the last traces of chocolate from his mouth. "Stop it! Stop it!" howled Miss Battleaxe. "Well done, Henry, for being the only sensible child. You may lead us back to see the pieces of Roman pottery in room 2. Horrid Henry walked proudly at the head of the shuffling, whining children. Then he noticed the lift at the far end. A sign read, "Staff only. Do not enter." I wonder where that lift goes, thought Horrid Henry. "Stop him!" yelled a guard, but it was too late. Henry had dashed to the lift and pressed the button for the top floor. Up, 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 he zipped. Henry found himself in a small room filled with half-finished exhibits. On display were lists of overdue library books, light bulbs from 1965 to today, and rows of rocks. Then, in the corner, Henry actually saw something interesting. A dog's skeleton protected by a drooping blue cord. Henry looked more closely. Oh, it's just a pile of bones, thought Henry. He wobbled the blue cord and then stood on it. "Look at me, I'm a tightrope walker," chortled Horrid Henry, swaying on the blue cord. "I'm the best tightrope walker in the—" Horrid Henry lost his balance and toppled against the skeleton. The bones crashed to the ground. A burglar alarm began to wail. Museum guards ran into the room. "Uh-oh," thought Horrid Henry. He slipped between a guard's legs and ran. Behind him he could hear pounding feet. Henry dashed into a large room filled with road signs, used bus tickets and traffic cones. At the other end of the room he saw Peter and Peter's class gathered in front of the Story of the Drain. "Oh no, there was Mum." Henry ducked behind the traffic cones. Museum guards entered. "There he is," shouted one. "The boy in the purple T-shirt with the striped gold stars." Henry stood fixed to the spot. He was trapped. Then the guards ran straight past his hiding place. A long arm reached over and plucked Perfect Peter from his group. "Come with us, you," snarled the guard. "We're going straight to the bad children's room." But, gasped Peter. "No ifs or buts," snapped the guard. "Who's in charge of this child?" "I am," said Mum. "What is the meaning of this?" "You come too," ordered the guard. But, gasped Mum. Shouting and protesting, Mum and Perfect Peter were taken away. Then Henry heard a familiar booming voice. "Margaret, that's enough pushing," said Miss Battleaxe. "No touching, Ralph. Stop weeping, William. Hurry up, everyone. The bus leaves in 5 minutes. Walk quietly to the exit." Everyone immediately started running. Horrid Henry waited until most of the group had charged past, then rejoined the children. "Where have you been, Henry?" snapped Miss Battleaxe. "Just enjoying this brilliant museum," said Horrid Henry. "When can we come back?" That's the end of today's story. Stay well, everyone, and I'll talk to you again soon.